Welcome to the TechHub.training Excel Statement of Cash Flow Analysis Challenge Solution video. Let's jump right in. In this challenge, you were given statement of cash flows from Microsoft, Zoom, Netflix, and Google. You were tasked to create an analysis tab and a free cash flow tab comparing the values in these statements. Now, all this data was pulled from the Edgar SEC site, which will show you how to collect this data for your own purposes and in the future. But building the analysis tab was fairly simple. The key here is just identifying which row in each company represents cash flow from operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. It might look different for each company, but they should all have this one line that shows their operating, investing, and financing. So once you find that, we just use a formula to grab this data and the period ended and build a fancy table, as you see we did here with all the companies. Now what we also did was we included the exchange rate effects, because once we have cash flow from operating, investing, and financing activities, if we just include this exchange rate effects, we have our net change in cash, which can be super helpful. We're also supposed to use conditional formatting to show inflows or outflows of cash, and this is done by simply selecting the cells you want to apply conditional formatting to. Come over to this fancy tool and create a rule. You could say if the cell is greater than 0, we'll make it green, fill with dark green text, and you can add another rule that says if it's less than 0, it's light red fill with dark red text. That's what we did. As you can see, positive numbers or inflows of cash are represented by green numbers, while negative numbers or outflows of cash are represented by red numbers. You're also given this chart, which is a very general visualization of the business cycle. You can see typically when a company is started, operations generate negative cash flows, as well as investing activities generate negative cash flows. And most of your cash is coming from your financing activities. However, as the company grows and is able to use their operating cash flows to finance their business activities, we see investing also come above 0 and financing decrease. And depending on where you are in respect to your cash flow activities, we can use this chart to classify the company as an introductory company, a growth company, a company in the maturity stage, or in the decline stage. And so we did this here, and your answers might be different because it isn't clear cut. For example, these companies don't show exactly, they don't represent what is shown in the chart exactly. And so we have to use some professional judgment. But as long as you can justify your classifications, that's the key here. Especially in practice, you're going to have to be making a lot of judgments. And whether you said decline or maturity or growth or introductory, as long as you can support your claim with numbers and evidence, then that should be satisfactory. But these are the classifications we came up with, and hopefully you got something similar. The free cash flow tab was also pretty simple. We gave you the formula as operating cash flow less capital expenditures equals your free cash flow. And so again, we just came over to Microsoft, find their net cash from operations of 89 billion, 35 million. Copy that over and then find their capital expenditures, which is just their, purchases of PP&E. And so 23,886,000,000. I'm looking at this conversion rate to make sure I'm saying the right numbers. Come over to Microsoft, and it's going to be in the investing section. Additions to PP&E, 23,886,000,000. That's the number we were looking for. Drag that across, calculate our free cash flow. And just to show you something cool, for example, we're looking at Microsoft here. If you look up Microsoft free cash flow, come to this first website, and we can actually see what this website publishes as Microsoft's annual free cash flow. It's that in 2020, 45 billion, 2021, 56 billion, 2022, 65 billion. And let's see if this adds up. So 45, 56, 65. We come back here. We got 45, 56, 65. It adds up. So pretty nifty. Now you're also supposed to use conditional formatting on these free cash flow numbers because a negative free cash flow signifies a poor financial health of a company. And so after applying conditional formatting using the same rules as before, we see that Netflix is the only company here with a negative free cash flow. That might be something to look into. We can look at their financial statements and see why that is. I mean, operating cash flow is significantly less than 2020 and 2022. So we might even have to go to the footnotes to check that out. So this was the basic objective of the challenge, but you were also supposed to find another company that you wanted to add in and do an analysis on. And I chose Tesla. And we want to show you how to collect this data in the future. So if I come back to my browser, just type in SEC Edgar search, this first link. I searched Tesla here. And there's the company I'm looking for. We want to look at the 10Ks, and so I'm going to come to form and only look at 10Ks. Click on their most recent one, which was filed January 31st, 2023. Open the filing, select interactive data, and then we can get all of the financial statements in an Excel document, which we did for this challenge. As it opens up, okay, as you can see, there's a lot more data here than we want to work with. So I clicked until I found the consolidated statements of cash flows, move or copy, and you can choose where to export it. I just put it on the, workbook that we're looking at and change the name, and there you have it. That's how we collected the data for this challenge, and we hope that's useful. You can play around with the financial statements and other data reported on the SEC site. But after you did this, it's just the same procedure as building the table for the new company. Make sure you include the proper key and classification, free cash flow analysis, and there you have it. Now we hope you had fun building this challenge, that you learned something new. Be sure to check out all the other challenges on the site, and good luck. We'll see you next time.